If you were just joining us, we opened with breaking news this morning from Adrian Wojnarowski, who reported live right off the top of our show that Anthony Davis and the Lakers are putting the finishing touches on a 5-year, $190 million max contract. So the Lakers locking up LeBron the other day and now locking up Anthony Davis. They will have the two of them together for at least the next 3 years. Jay Will has made his way from across the hall. And Woj, the man who's just dropping bombs left and right the last couple of days. Woj, what more can you tell us about this AD deal?
Well, AD considered several scenarios, shorter deals, medium-sized deals, and ultimately decided on the longest deal he could do. And now that 5-year, $190 million deal, Clutch's CEO, his agent, Rich Paul, tells me will include an early termination option after before the 2024-25 season, where he can go back in, do another extension with the Lakers, and still be just 32 years old and presumably get another max deal. But this kind of closes the circle on this whole process with Anthony Davis, from he and Rich Paul asking for that trade out of New Orleans back in February of 2019, getting the trade in June of 2019 to the Lakers, winning a title in October. Now 5 years, $190 million. I'm told he will probably sign that deal as soon as today.
All right, and so, Jay, well, the first thing you said to me as you walked in here was, it's scary how good.
You want the trophy? You want the trophy right now?
Done? It's that good?
I don't think it's done, barring injuries. But, I mean, they are exponentially better than any other team in the NBA. Look at what they've been able to do. They re-signed KCP. They bring on Dennis Schroeder, a guy that can score on anybody. He was part of a pivotal backcourt last year with OKC. You bring on a guy that was literally in the same building that you stole from the team that you shared the building with. Mm-hmm. When you think about what Montrezl Harrell brings from a big perspective, you sign Marc Gasol. You still have a guy like Kyle Kuzma there. They have all the pieces to be, and Wesley Matthews, a guy that can space the floor from a three-point shooting perspective.
So they've got LeBron and AD now locked in together for 3 years. LeBron is 3 years. In those 3 years, how many rings do they win?
I think they can get at least 2 more.
That's the magic number, right? Because that means 6 for LeBron, and we all know what that means.
I mean, and now you think about LeBron has a chance on the back end if he does get 2 more. We're already having the conversation about him being the greatest of all time with Michael Jordan. I think this just continues to raise the profile of his dominance within the league.
All right, and so we have that situation. Then let me go back to Woj, because it feels like 15 minutes ago, we were reacting to the enormous story you broke last night, which is the trade of Russell Westbrook to Washington for John Wall. So let's analyze what that means for the superstars in their places. What does it mean for Bradley Beal in Washington, and what does it mean for James Harden in Houston?
Yeah, and that is the question, Greeny, for both those organizations. Can the exchange of point guards help to keep, whether it's Bradley Beal in Washington, James Harden in Houston, can that help to convince them to stay long-term? The Rockets have a little more cushion. Harden has 2 years left on his deal, but there's more urgency in Washington with Russell Westbrook. And I know this about Westbrook right now. He has been very bothered, I'm told, by the suggestion of the kind of teammate he is and the criticism that he's felt he's taken here in the last month's year about being a great teammate. That's important to him. I think those who played with him in his career consider him among the most loyal guy who would do almost anything for the guys around him or people in an organization. And I think going to Washington, I think that's extra motivation for him to really try to make it work with Bradley Beal, to be a point guard who can share the ball and spotlight Beal and help him to become an All-NBA player and get this Wizards team back in the playoffs.
Well, how do you see it, Jay? Well, it's a fascinating deal in so many ways.
Yeah, I think it's a win for the Wizards. Look, it's going to get the Wizards back into the playoffs. People forget that Russell Westbrook averaged 27 points per game, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists. He was third-team All-NBA. If he didn't have that hamstring injury, we might have been talking about a different Russell Westbrook after he came off COVID into the bubble. So him, Davis Bertans, Bradley Beal, I love this. As it relates to James Harden, I don't know. Now if you're James Harden, you didn't want to be there in the first place. You might be forced to play this through. I hope John Wall comes back and is incredible. He's looked incredible in some of these pickup games I've heard him playing. But now you have John Wall coming off an Achilles injury, hasn't played since 2018. Have DeMarcus Cousins, hasn't played due to injury. it's a lot of question marks for the Houston Rockets. I don't think it's enough to get James Harden to stay in Houston.
Well, the man who always has the answers for us is Woj, and Jay Will, of course, KJZ, coast to coast every morning. Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.